This is Radio 2 on BBC Sounds.
And on your smart speaker.
Play BBC Radio 2.
With the BBC News at 6 o'clock, this is Jason Kay. Rishi Sunak has used a visit to Jerusalem to promise that the UK will stand by Israel in what he called its darkest hour. The Prime Minister said the country had suffered an unspeakable, horrific act of terrorism when Hamas gunmen killed 1,400 Israelis and took about 200 hostages earlier this month. There's been another day of airstrikes on Gaza, with Israeli troops gathering on the border ahead of an expected ground offensive. The health authorities in Gaza say more than 3,400 people have died. The head of the World Health Organization, Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, says that supplies need to get into Gaza soon.
The situation is very dire and at a breaking point, and unless the supplies are allowed very soon, it's not about tomorrow, it should have been allowed even yesterday or the day before yesterday, there will be a tragedy in Gaza, and that's our fear.
Hundreds of residents have been told to evacuate their homes in parts of eastern Scotland as Storm Babette sweeps across the country. A red weather warning covering much of Angus, Perth and Kinross and Aberdeenshire has come into force, which means there's a risk to life. Here's our Scotland correspondent Jamie McIver.
Forecasters are expecting Storm Babette to cause what they describe as unprecedented rainfall. In Angus, rest centres have been opened in Brechin, Montrose and Forfar. The council is asking people who plan to use the centres to bring their own sleeping bags, pillows and blankets. Further north in Stonehaven, residents are using floodgates as well as sandbags to protect homes and businesses. ScotRail has suspended train services in the north and northeast and says they won't start again until Saturday at the earliest.
The Metropolitan Police has apologised to the family of a black teenage boy after armed officers handcuffed him because his brightly coloured water pistol had been mistaken for a real gun. The mother of the 13-year-old says that she feels let down and betrayed. Members of the RMT union have voted to continue taking strike action for another 6 months in their dispute about pay, jobs and conditions. No fresh strike dates have been announced yet. A wildlife centre in Devon has saved the life of the last bear left at a sanctuary in Sweden. Diego is due to move into the Wildwood Trust near Exeter until spring next year, when he'll move to a farm near Ipswich. Mark Haben is the director of zoo operations at the Trust, and he says they felt compelled to take Diego in.
We've been made very aware that the only other outcome for Diego was likely euthanasia. And we just couldn't let that happen to this healthy, handsome brown bear. There's alternative options, and we felt it very important that we should give this animal a temporary home for the winter period before he moves on to his permanent residence.
And the weather, very wet and windy in northern and eastern Scotland because of Storm Babette. Showery rain elsewhere, but drier in the southwest of England. Heavy rain will develop in the southeast of England. And that's the BBC News at 6:03.
Thank you, Jay Bizzle.
This is